So I'm Brian McCann, and the video you just saw is of a guy named Pete Weber who won the 2012 U.S. Open in bowling, and that was his big outburst, kind of a flamboyant guy. And the reason that I used that clip is I wanted to make a video because I have a career of experience in the legal fields, in politics, in sales, and in real estate. Those industries, because they're sales heavy and they're personality driven and they're advertising heavy, tend to attract people who are very ego driven. That is not by any means a universal case. For every example I'm going to show you, I can show you 10 examples that are not the case. However, if you work in these environments, it can be tough. And I've had my own issues with ego in the past too. But part of where I'm at in life now is really putting that behind me and maybe also helping young lawyers or someone who is thinking about leaving the industry because they're tired of dealing with these personalities. So I'm going to show you exactly how to see behind the mask of the person you're dealing with. It is very easy to fall into the trap and think that the ego-driven person is who they say they are. Usually is the exact opposite. And I'm going to run through some examples for you. So first, and this could be in any field, but imagine, and let me clarify, you have to advertise in business. So just because someone's advertising does not mean this fits them. This is really about how people choose to build their personas. So let's say you have someone who their persona is, I'm a fighter. I'm the toughest guy out there. So maybe that's, someone in sales, yeah, I'm taking the ship at all costs. Or someone in, maybe real estate where, I get it done no matter what. Or law. Maybe they walk around with boxing gloves and they're the toughest. What do you think's behind that mask? So what I found is behind that mask is someone who is very afraid of being viewed as weak. And that's really it. So sometimes the person who projects strength, deep down they feel weak. Next, I want to talk about another personality type, an ego-driven personality type. And let me say that there are self-made people. I'm from Northeast Philadelphia, which is not a wealthy part of town, so to speak. But generally, what I find is self-made people don't tell you that they're self-made. Usually, if someone is banging the drum about how they're self-made, sometimes it's not the case. I believe we have or have had a president who, tried to point to the fact that they only got a loan for $1 million as evidence that they're self-made. So a lot of times, if someone really is pointing to the fact they're self-made, their insecurity behind the mask is they know they're not self-made. Maybe their dad made it. Maybe their grandfather made it. Maybe someone else's money made it. But that's the insecurity. So if that person is giving you a hard time at work or is really not being nice to you, what you want to do is look behind that mask and realize that they're afraid that you are going to see that they didn't earn it. Next type of person, and you'll see this sometimes in sales or real estate or law. So for instance, and you have to advertise. So for instance, some of the best people, they'll say, I've sold $1 billion over the last 5 years, or I have recovered $100 million over the past 10 years for clients. If you see someone and they say, in 2019, I sold the largest and most expensive property in the entire state. Or in 2018, I had the biggest recovery by a solo practitioner in history. And that's really all they talk about. What do you think is behind that mask. What's behind that mask is someone who likely feels that they are an imposter, and they are probably afraid that they will never have that level of success again. And the last thing that they want you to see is behind that mask. Is there's a scared person who doesn't want you to see that they got lucky. The next type of person who I want to talk about, and let me say, there are people who tout this who are good. You have to determine who's ego-driven and who's not ego-driven. But we're going to talk about the person who spouts constantly about how they're a team player and how no one else is a team player. So maybe they fire a lot of people and they say they weren't a team player. What do you think that says about that person? What do you think? It says they're a ball hawk. They're probably, not always, they're probably a selfish ball hog. So if you're working for that person and you notice there's a lot of turnover and they say, not a team player to everyone, you probably should maybe understand that one day you're not going to be a team player because you're working for maybe a selfish ball hog. And that happens a lot in sales and other areas. Finally, what I want to convey, actually, in part 2, I'll do another part where I'm going to talk about how the insults that ego-driven people use to describe other people actually say a lot more about them than it does about the other person. So for the meantime, like, follow, share. And I hope this is helpful. So if you're in a job and you're working for one of these personalities, I hope you can understand that it's a mask and you can see behind that mask, and then it becomes not only easy to deal with them, it kind of becomes fun. It becomes fun. So like, follow, and share for more. Thank you.